Hello and welcome to Let's Play The Shamutanti Hills by Steve Jackson. This is book number 1 in Steve Jackson's Sorcery series. There are 4 in total. Here's the front cover. The exciting new fantasy adventure in which you become the hero. Okay, let's read the synopsis, which is at the end of this PDF. Here we go. Okay, you are about to embark on an epic adventure. Your quest will take you from Analand, your homelands, across the unruly territories of Kakabad to the Mampang fortress wherein lies the Crown of Kings. In this fantasy role-playing gamebook, you may elect to become either a warrior or a wizard. The spells that will give you power are found in the Sorcery spellbook. Whatever your choice, the journey ahead will be dangerous and you will be faced with tricks, traps, problems, clues, and a host of evil creatures who will do everything in their power to thwart you. Whether you confront your enemies or flee to fight another day, each journey will be unique and it will be yours. Slightly difficult to read that with the pictures in the background, but I do really like the pictures here. Really nice illustration. I can just imagine being there. Okay, let's carry on. Okay, zoom in a bit. There we go. Okay, Penguin Books, Steve Jackson Sorcery, The Shamutanti Hills. Steve Jackson is an internationally known figure in the fantasy games world. He is co-founder of Games Workshop Limited, the largest British company specialising in such games. Its activities include publishing White Dwarf, a magazine devoted to science fiction and fantasy games, and organising Britain's largest games convention, Games Day, which is held in London every September. Mr. Jackson attended Altrincham School in Cheshire and went on to the University of Kiel, where he studied biology and psychology. While at college, he founded the university's Games Society. After writing on a freelance basis for the professional games magazine Games and Puzzles, he co-authored with Ian Livingstone The Warlock of Firetop Mountain, a fantasy book for children. He was the sole author of 2 other books in the same series, The Citadel of Chaos and Spaceship Traveller. I think they mean Starship Traveller. Yeah, that's what it was called. So that's a mistake. So that's a good start, isn't it? In addition to the Shamutanti Hills, the Sorcery series comprises the Spellbook, also available from Penguin Books, as well as Carré, City Port of Traps, the 7 Serpents, and the Crown of Kings, all to be published by Penguin. Okay, to Ian Livingstone. First published in Great Britain by Penguin Books, 1983. Okay, so let's read the introduction. Okay, you are about to embark on an epic adventure, a quest for the Crown of Kings. Your journey will take you from Analand, your home, across the unruly territories of Kakabad to the Mampang fortress wherein lies the treasured crown. In this solo fantasy role-playing gamebook, you may elect to become either a wizard or a warrior. If you choose to be a warrior, a simple combat system will allow you to fight the various creatures of Kakabad quickly and conveniently. If you choose wizardry as your skill, you will learn to master a unique magic system found in no other fantasy role-playing game. As would a real Grand Wizard, you will have to learn your spells. The spells available to you are found in the spellbook, which is published separately, and you will prepare for your journey by memorizing these spells. You need not learn all the spells, for all 48 spells would be known only by a true Imperial sorcerer. A basic knowledge of as few as 6 spells will be enough for you to start your journey. Whether wizard or warrior, the journey ahead will be dangerous and you will be faced with tricks, traps, problems and clues, not to mention the host of evil creatures which will try to prevent you reaching your goal. Through the multi-choice gamebook system, you will choose which path to take, whether to fight or flee from combat, and how you will solve problems. If death takes you, you will have to begin your adventure again. But if your skill is great, and if luck and your god is with you, you may survive your overland journey to the Mampang fortress. Okay, the simple and advanced games. Okay, so I'll put a timestamp in the video description for the the background information and for paragraph 1. Otherwise, I'll carry on reading. Okay, the simple and advanced games. Beginners may wish to start with the simple game, ignoring the use of magic. Rules for fighting creatures with swords and other weapons are given in each adventure book, using a combat system similar to that used in Puffin's The Warlock of Firetop Mountain, the original fighting fantasy gamebook. By rolling dice, you battle creatures with weapons only. More experienced players will wish to progress quickly onto the advanced game, in which your fighting ability is somewhat limited, but your most powerful weapon will be your knowledge of magic, a much more powerful tool. In actual fact, the advanced game is fairly simple to learn. There is no reason why beginners should not proceed with the use of magic from the start, but learning spells will take some time and practice with the spellbook, and the simple option is given for players who wish to start their adventure with minimum delay. How to fight the creatures of Kakabad. Before setting off on your journey, you must first build up your own personality profile. On pages 18 and 19 you will find an adventure sheet. This is a sort of current status report which will help you keep track of your adventure. Your own skill, stamina and luck scores will be recorded here, and also the equipment, artifacts and treasures you will find on your journey. Since the details will change constantly, you are advised to take photocopies of the blank adventure sheet to use in future adventures, or write in pencil so that the previous adventure can be erased when you start another, or use a text document. Skill, stamina and luck. Roll 1 die. If you are playing as a warrior, the simple game, add 6 to this number and enter the total in the skill box on your adventure sheet. If you are playing as a wizard, the advanced game, add only 4 to this number and enter the total. Wizards are worse fighters than warriors, but they more than make up for this by the use of magic spells. Okay, I'm going to be a wizard. So let's roll 1 die. No, 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 yes. Oh, that was lucky, wasn't it? Okay, so we managed to get 10, the maximum for a wizard. So, yeah, because we had 4 because we were a wizard. Okay, roll both dice, add 12 to the number rolled and enter this total in the stamina box. Okay, so roll 2 dice and add 12 to it. No, no, yes. Okay, so 22 is the stamina. And finally luck. There is also a luck box. Roll 1 die, add 6 to this number and enter this total in the luck box. Okay. No. Yes. Okay, so that was 11. So 11 is our luck. Okay, let's carry on. For reasons that will be explained below, skill, stamina and luck scores change constantly during an adventure. You must keep an accurate record of these scores, and for this reason you are advised either to write small in the boxes or to keep an eraser handy, but never rub out your initial scores. Although you may be awarded additional skill, stamina and luck points, these totals may never exceed your initial scores, except on very rare occasions when you will be instructed on a particular page. Okay. Your skill score reflects your swordsmanship and general fighting expertise. The higher the better. Your stamina score reflects your general constitution, your will to survive, your determination and overall fitness. The higher your stamina score, the longer you will be able to survive. Your luck score indicates how naturally lucky a person you are. Luck and magic are facts of life in the fantasy world you are about to explore. Battles. You will often come across pages in the book which instruct you to fight a creature of some sort. An option to flee may be given, but if not, or if you choose to attack the creature anyway, you must resolve the battle as described below. First record the creature's skill and stamina scores in the first vacant monster encounter box on your adventure sheet. The scores for each creature are given in the book each time you have an encounter. The sequence of combat is then 1. Roll the 2 dice once for the creature. Add its skill score. This total is the creature's attack strength. 2. Roll the 2 dice once for yourself. Add the number rolled to your current skill score. This total is your attack strength. 3. If your attack strength is higher than that of the creature, you have wounded it. Proceed to step 4. If the creature's attack strength is higher than yours, it has wounded you. Proceed to step 5. If both attack strength totals are the same, you have avoided each other's blows. Start the next attack round from step 1 above. 4. You have wounded the creature, so subtract 2 points from its stamina score. You may use your luck here to do additional damage. See over. 5. The creature has wounded you, so subtract 2 points from your stamina score. Again, you may use luck at this stage. See over. 6. Make the appropriate adjustments to either the creature's or your own stamina score and your luck score if you use luck. See over. 7. Begin the next attack round. Repeat steps 1 to 6. This sequence continues until the stamina score of either you or the creature you are fighting has been reduced to 0. Death. Fighting more than one creature. If you come across more than one creature in a particular encounter, the instructions on that page will tell you how to handle the battle. Sometimes you will treat them as a single monster, sometimes you will fight each one in turn. Luck. At various times during your adventure, either in battles or when you come across situations in which you could be either lucky or unlucky, details of these are given on the pages themselves, you may call on your luck to make the outcome more favourable. But beware, using luck is a risky business, and if you are unlucky, the results could be disastrous. The procedure for using your luck is as follows. Roll 2 dice. If the number rolled is equal to or less than your current luck score, you have been lucky and the result will go in your favour. If the number rolled is higher than your current luck score, you have been unlucky and you will be penalised. This procedure is known as testing your luck. Each time you test your luck, you must subtract 1 point from your current luck score. Thus, you will soon realise that the more you rely on your luck, the more risky this will become. Using luck in battles. On certain pages of the book, you'll be told to test your luck and will be told the consequences of your being lucky or unlucky. However, in battles, you always have the option of using your luck either to inflict a more serious wound on a creature you have just wounded, or to minimize the effects of a wound the creature has just inflicted on you. If you have just wounded the creature, you may test your luck as described above. If you are lucky, you have inflicted a severe wound and may subtract an extra 2 points from the creature's stamina score. However, if you're unlucky, the wound was a mere graze and you must restore 1 point to the creature's stamina, i.e. instead of scoring the normal 2 points of damage, you have now scored only 1. If the creature has just wounded you, you may test your luck to try to minimize the wound. If you are lucky, you have managed to avoid the full damage of the blow. Restore 1 point of stamina, i.e. instead of doing 2 points of damage, it has done only 1. If you are unlucky, you have taken a more serious blow. Subtract 1 extra stamina point. Remember that you must subtract 1 point from your own luck score each time you test your luck. Restoring skill, stamina and luck. Skill. Your skill score will not change much during your adventure. Occasionally you may be given instructions to increase or decrease your skill score. A magic weapon may increase your skill, but remember that only 1 weapon can be used at a time. You cannot claim 2 skill bonuses for carrying 2 magic swords. Your skill score can never exceed its initial value unless specifically instructed. Stamina and provisions. Your stamina score will change a lot during your adventure as you fight monsters and undertake arduous tasks. As you near your goal, your stamina level may be dangerously low and battles may be particularly risky, so be careful. You start with enough provisions for 2 meals. Okay, let's put that in. So 2. You may rest and eat only when allowed by the instructions, and you may eat only 1 meal at a time. So in this book we can only eat 1 at a time. When you eat a meal, add points to your stamina score as instructed. Remember that you have a long way to go, so manage your provisions wisely. Remember also that your stamina score may never exceed its initial value unless specifically instructed. Luck. Additions to your luck score are awarded through the adventure when you have been particularly lucky. Details are given whenever this occurs. Remember that, as with skill and stamina, your luck score may never exceed its initial value unless specifically instructed. Skill, stamina and luck scores can be restored to their initial values by calling on your goddess. See you later. Alternative dice. If you do not have a pair of dice handy, dice rolls are printed throughout the book at the bottom of the pages. Flicking rapidly through the book and stopping on a page will give you a random dice roll. If you need to roll only 1 die, read only the first printed die. If 2, total the 2 dice symbols. Yes, that's a nice touch. But slightly problematic, because if you do use the book as a flip book, firstly, well, I have to say it'll slightly ruin the book, but regardless of that, it's more likely that someone will stop, roughly in the middle of the book. So, there are certain dice rolls that are more likely to come up. It's like if you offer someone a pack of cards, they're more likely to pick one from the middle rather than from the end. So that's the trouble with doing that. It's not, it's not really properly random. Anyways, but that's my complaint about that. Wizards, how to use magic. If you have chosen to become a wizard, you will have the option throughout the adventure of using magic spells. All the spells known to the sorcerers of Analand are listed in a separate volume, the Sorcery Spellbook, and you will need to study this before you set off on your adventure. All spells are coded with a 3-letter code, and you must learn and practice your spells until you are able to identify a reasonable number of them from their codes. Casting a spell drains your stamina, and each has a cost in stamina points for its use. Recommended basic spells will get you started quickly, but are very uneconomical. An experienced wizard will use these only if faced with choices of unknown spells, or if he/she has not found the artifact required for a less costly spell. Full rules for using spells are given in the spellbook. Don't forget, you may not refer to the spellbook once you have started your adventure. Libra, the goddess of justice. During your adventure, you will be watched over by your own goddess, Libra. If the going gets tough, you may call on her for aid, but she will only help you once in each adventure. Once you have called on her help in the Shamutanti Hills, she will not listen to you again until you reach Kare. There are 3 ways in which she may help you. Revitalization. You may call on her at any time to restore your skill, stamina, and luck scores to their initial values. This is not given as an option in the text. You may do this if and when you wish, but only once in each adventure. Escape. Occasionally, when you are in danger, the text will offer you the option of calling on Libra to help you. Removal of curses and diseases. She will remove any curses or diseases you may pick up on your adventure. This is not given as an option in the text. You may do this if and when you wish, but only once in each adventure. Okay, so we can use the revitalization. I better write this down. So information. Now I'll put it in skills. Libra will restore skill, stamina, or luck once only. Okay, next. Libra will remove a curse, new line, once only. Actually, I won't make a new line. There we go, I'll make a new line now. And she will always help you escape. But I don't need to write that down because that will be offered in the text. Okay, next. Equipment and provisions. You start your adventure with the bare necessities of life. You have a sword as your weapon and a backpack to hold your equipment, treasures, artifacts, and provisions. You cannot take your spellbook with you, as the sorcerers of Analand cannot risk its falling into the wrong hands in Kakabad, so you may not refer to this book at all once you have started your journey. Okay, we have a sword and a backpack, so let's put that down. Backpack. Whoops, I've spelled it with a double K. Never mind. Okay, there we go. Okay, you have a pouch around your waist containing 20 gold pieces. Let's put that down. So 20. Okay, the universal currency of all the known lands. You will need money for food, shelter, purchases, and bribery throughout your adventure, and 20 gold pieces will not go far. You will find it necessary to collect more gold as you progress on your way. You are also carrying provisions, food and drink, sufficient for 2 meals only. As you will find, food is an important commodity. No, I didn't know that. And you will have to be careful how you use it. Make sure you do not waste food. You cannot afford to run out of provisions. Oh, I only have 2 of them. Anyway, there's the adventure sheet, which I'm pleased to say has not been written on, even though this is a copy. Okay, And here is the background information. So this will be a timestamp in the video description. Before I do that though, I'm also going to have a quick look at the Sorcery Spellbook, which I also have. So here it is, Sorcery Spellbook, The Key to Sorcery, the Epic Fantasy Adventure Series by Steve Jackson. Okay, we've already read his sort of mini biography, so we won't read that again. Okay, the Sorcery Adventure. The Sorcery is a fantasy adventure in which you become the hero. It takes place in the lands of Kakabad, and your quest is onwards to the Mampang fortress to find and retrieve the stolen crown of kings. As either a warrior, the simple game, or a wizard, the advanced game, you will choose your paths and encounter a variety of creatures, tricks, and traps. The Sorcery Adventure will span 4 volumes. You must first cross the Shamutanti hills, and then, after a brief stay in the city port of Kare, you will make your way across the backlands to the Zanzunu peaks to find the Mampang fortress. Your success will depend to a large extent on your own skill as a wizard or warrior. If the magical arts are your chosen weapon, this book contains the spells known by the sorcerers of Analand. You will have to memorize some of these spells, as would a real wizard, and the more spells you learn, the more successful you will be on your adventures. Rules for using magic. During your training, you have been taught a number of spells and incantations which you can call to aid you on your quest. The full list of spells follows these instructions. Spells are identified by a 3-letter word. Throughout the books, you will be given the option of using spells to overcome problems and opponents. The spells will be identified only by these 3-letter words, so it is important that you memorize at least some of the codes. Thus, before you can start using your powers of sorcery, you will need to spend some time memorizing spells as would a real wizard learning the magic arts. Obviously, you will not be able to memorize all 48 spells at once, but the more you use the book, the more familiar you will become with the most useful spells. Try starting by memorizing between 6 and 10 spells. The best ones with which to start are given below, and relying on your swordsmanship to fight some of the creatures you encounter. It is possible, with a little luck, to complete your quest with these spells, but your task will become easier when you are capable of using more spells. Some spells also require the use of an artifact, such as a piece of jewelry or a magic ring. If you try to use a spell without possessing the correct artifact, you will be wasting your stamina, as the spell will not work. Each time you use a spell, whether it is successful or not, it will draw on your reserves of energy and concentration. A cost in stamina points is given for each spell. Each time you use a spell, you must deduct this cost from your stamina score. You may study the Book of Spells for as long as you want before embarking on an adventure, but once you have set off, you may never again refer to it and must rely purely on your memory until your adventure is over. Nor may you write the spells down for easy reference. In a real situation where you may be surprised by a creature, you would not have time to start flicking through your spell book trying to work out the best spell to cast. The 6 most useful spells. Zap creates a lightning bolt which shoots from the fingertip. Stamina cost 4. Foff creates a protective force field. All stamina costs 4. Law enables creatures to be controlled. Dumb makes creatures extremely clumsy. Hot creates fireball which can be aimed at enemies. Wall creates a magic wall to defend against physical objects. Okay, Zap and Hot are strong attacking spells. Foff and Wall are good general purpose defensive spells, while Law and Dumb will be useful if you get into tricky situations. Note that these spells will often be more powerful than you need in a given situation. They are not cheap in terms of stamina points, but they are good all-rounders. As you get to know more spells from the spellbook, you will be able to choose more economical spells which will be equally as effective against certain perils. Read through the list again, then cover up the effect column with your hand. How many can you remember? When you can remember them by heart, you can begin your quest. Hints on using spells. As you familiarise yourself with the spells in this spellbook, your skill and abilities in the sorcery adventures will improve. Learning the 6 basic spells will allow you to start playing with minimal delay. These spells will get you out of most difficulties, but they are expensive in terms of stamina points, and you will often find it necessary to rely on your limited powers of swordsmanship, particularly with weaker creatures, in order to avoid running dangerously short of stamina. Other spells are more economical, but will be given less often as options, thus relying more on your memory and skill as a wizard. The most economical spells of all are those which require magic magical artifacts which must be found on your adventure. Remember that there are heavy penalties for guessing spells. If you choose a spell code which does not represent a spell, or if you choose a spell for which you do not have the required artifact, you will lose extra stamina points. In some cases, death will be your penalty. Finally, remember that not all spells will be used in the first adventure. Some will not come in until the second, third or fourth adventures. A few are never used at all. As you get into these later books, your 6 basic spells will be given less often as options. The spells are arranged to some extent in their order of usefulness in the spellbook listing, but this is not a hard and fast rule. An adept wizard should be able to complete the first adventure without too much difficulty, but the going gets progressively rougher in further installments. You will soon begin to make your own discoveries about the spells themselves. There is a certain logic to the way they are arranged, the options that are given, and their codes. But these discoveries you must make for yourself. Experience will make you more skillful with magic. All this is part of the art of sorcery. Here are the spells. So I'm not going to be reading all these, but I will leave them on. I will just show them on the video, just so you can read them yourself if you want to read them. So there's Zap, Hot, Foff, Wall, Law, Dumb, Big, Wok, Dop, Raz, Sus, Six, Jig, Gob, Yob, Gum, How, Doc, Doz, Dud, Mag, Pop, Fool, Dim, Fog, Mud, Nith, Tell, Gack, Sap, God, Kin, Pep, Rock, Nip, Huff, Fix, Nap, Zen, Yaz, Sun, Kid, Rap, Yap, Zip, Far, Res, Zed, and that's it. Okay, so that's the end of the spell book. I, of course, as long as no one actually tests me on this, have learned every single spell and what it does, and how many stamina points it requires and all the artifacts required. As long as no one asks me any questions to test me on that, you can trust me that I have learned every single spell. So I no longer need to refer to this spell book. Okay, so that's that. So we can get rid of the spell book. Anyway, okay, so here's the background information. The legend of the Crown of Kings. Centuries ago, in the time we now call the Dark Ages, whole regions of the world were undiscovered. There were pockets of civilization, each with their own races and cultures. One such region was Kakabad, a dark land at the end of the earth. Although several warlords had tried, Kakabad had never been ruled. All manner of evil creatures, forced from the more civilized lands beyond the Zanzunu peaks, had gradually crawled into Kakabad, which became known as the Vermin Pit at Earth End. Civilization and order had spread throughout the rest of the known world ever since the discovery of the Crown of Kings by Chalana the Reformer of Femfree. With its help, Chalana became emperor of the largest empire in the Eastern world. This magical crown had mysterious powers, bestowing supernormal qualities of leadership and justice on its owner. But Chalana's own ambitions were not of conquest. He wished instead to establish peaceful nation-states aligned to Femfree. Thus, in his wisdom, he passed the fabled crown from ruler to ruler in the neighbouring kingdoms, and with the help of its magical powers, one by one, these lands became peaceful and prosperous. The path was set. Each ruler would own the Crown of Kings for a 4-year period in which to establish order within his kingdom and fall in with the growing Femfree alliance. So far, the kingdoms of Ruddlestone, Lendelland, Galanteria and Bryce had taken their turns under the rule of the crown. The benefits were immediate. War and strife were virtually unknown. The King of Analand duly received the crown of kings amid great ceremony, and from that day onwards the development of Analand was ensured. No one quite knew how the crown of kings could have such an enormous uplifting effect on a whole nation. Some said it was divinely inspired, some that its power was merely in the mind. But one thing was certain, its effects were unquestionable. All was well in Analand until the night of the Black Moon. The king was the first to discover that the crown was missing. Carried off on that starless night by birdmen from Zaman, the crown was on its way to Mampang in the outlaw territories of Kakabad. News came from the Backlands that the crown was being carried to the Archmage of Mampang, whose ambitions were to make Kakabad his kingdom. Although Kakabad was a dangerous land, it was in itself little threat to the surrounding kingdoms. The lack of rule meant it had no army, and its own internal struggles kept it permanently preoccupied. But with the crown of kings to establish rule, Kakabad could potentially be a deadly enemy to all members of the Fem-Free Alliance. Such was the shame that fell on Analand for the loss of the crown that all benefits from 2 years under its rule soon disappeared. Law, order, and morale were breaking down. The king was losing the confidence of his subjects. Neighbouring territories were looking suspiciously across their borders. There were even whisperings of invasions. One hope remained. Someone, for a military force would never survive the journey, must travel to Mampang and rescue the crown of kings. Only on its safe return would the dreadful curse be lifted from Analand. You have volunteered yourself for this quest, and your mission is clear. You must cross Kakabad to the Mampang fortress and find the crown. Okay, there's the map. And here's paragraph 1. So, I'll read a couple of paragraphs because we're already at half an hour, but and then I'll end the video. So, I'll put a timestamp, as they call it, in the video description. Okay, so let's start reading paragraph 1. Off we go. You awake at sunrise. After dressing, you breakfast on bread and goat's milk and collect your belongings. Outside, the outpost settlement is stirring. The women folk emerge to wash and prepare their meals as the day's guard takes over. Eyes follow you as you leave your hut and walk towards the Shamutanti wall. The frontier's people are well aware of your mission, and a small crowd of well-wishers follows some distance behind you. Before you stands the Cantapani Gate, guarded constantly by sight master warriors, chosen for their powers of telescopic vision. The gate is the final doorway between Alaland and Kakabad. Once more you check your pack. Satisfied that your preparations are complete, you nod to the sight master sergeant. For the last time, he glances at the lookout atop the gate, who signals the all clear. The sergeant orders the bolt to be withdrawn. A doorway opens up in front of you, and you get your first view of the Shamutanti foothills, the first stage of your journey. The Sightmaster Sergeant strides over and grasps your hand. I will not wish you a safe journey, for the way ahead will not be safe. Kakabad is a treacherous land inhabited by devils, but this you already know. Take the path ahead to Cantapani, a small settlement of traders, although most are rogues and thieves, which you should reach within the hour. From Cantapani onwards, there are 3 routes through Biritanti to Kare, a city port on the Jabaji River. From Kare, you must cross the Backlands, which are unknown. It is said that day and night in the Backlands are controlled not by the sun, but by supernatural forces, and bear in mind also that from Kare onwards, your progress will be watched. His warnings do little to inspire confidence in you. He continues, but I have observed your training, and you are indeed a worthy champion. I wish you luck and success with your quest. My thoughts and the good wishes of all the peoples of Analand will be with you. With Libra on your side, may you live to lift the curse and depression which rack our kingdom. You shake his hand, thank him for his good wishes, and step up to the gate. Resolutely, you pass through the doorway. The faces of the folk watching your departure reveal the hopes that rest with you and with the success of your quest. With a wave, you turn and face the hills. The early morning air is crisp, and the rising sun paints the hills in colours of natural beauty which conceal the devilry ahead. Setting off determinedly, you follow the path. Your quest has begun. Turn to 178. Okay, and there's the Sight Master Sergeant. Anyway, we're turning to 178. Off we go. Now, the path winds through fields of wild scrubland. The countryside is deserted, and an eerie silence is broken only by the cawing of an occasional crow. The birds appear to pause in the air to examine you as they pass, and you feel uneasy in their presence. You pass over a small hillock, from the top of which you can see the path continuing downwards into a small settlement of huts at the base of the Shamutanti hills. You follow the path, and as you approach the village, noises and movements indicate that it is populated. As the path runs straight through the village, you have little choice but to follow it. The round huts are made of a hard-baked bright clay with thatched roofs. As you pass, eyes appear at dark doorways watching your movements. Suddenly, a villager appears from one of the dwellings and stands before you. He is 5 feet tall, with thick-set arms and thighs half clothed in tattered breeches. His eyes are wild, and his long red hair and beard stand out on his face in a wiry tangle. "Halt, stranger," he commands. "What business have you in Kanzapani?" What is your response? Tell him you are a trader, turn to 264. Ask for directions onwards, turn to 33. Or tell him you are hungry and need provisions, turn to 108. Okay, we're going to tell him that we are a trader, and so we're going to turn to 264. He grunts and motions for you to follow, taking you through the village to a large hut. Inside, you discover that the building is evidently a storage house, and a quartermaster, somewhat plumper than your guide, is seated at a table. The villager explains you wish to do business and leaves you with the fat man, who bids you take a seat. The merchant has the following items for sale. If you are interested in any of them, turn to the reference indicated. A herbalist's potion, turn to 107. A fine-edged broadsword, turn to 214. A musical pipe, turn to 22. An axe with strange carvings, turn to 141. A bag containing teeth, turn to 5. A fine glittering jewel, turn to 60. If none of these interests you, turn to 163. None takes singular. Okay. We're going to buy the herbalist's potion. So we're going to turn to 107. And for this potion, he demands 4 gold pieces, and the price is not negotiable. If you wish to buy, pay him the money and take the flask. Otherwise, you may refuse his offer. Turn to 280. Okay, so we have a herbalist's potion. And we've lost 4 gold pieces, so we're down to 16. Turn to 280. If you have investigated only 1 or 2 of his offerings, you may choose another from the list below. But if you have considered 3 artifacts already, you may not try a 4th, and you must leave the merchant. Turn to 91. Okay, the numbers are the same, so I won't read them out again. Okay, we're going to buy the broadsword and turn to 214. Here we are. The sword has a fine cutting edge and has been honed by a master craftsman. Roll 2 dice. This is the price in gold pieces that the merchant requires for the sword. If you are prepared to pay this price, you may purchase it. Whether or not you do, turn next to 280. Okay, so 2 gold pieces, or rather 2, we need to roll 2 dice. Wow, that was lucky, so we only paid 2 gold pieces for it. Good. I would have accepted any number. Anyway, so that puts us down to 14. So we have a broadsword. Anyway, so we're turning to 280 again. And now we're going to leave the merchant. So we're going to turn to 91. We don't want anything else. Okay, and we will be reading that this paragraph in the next part. So I'll end the video there. So next paragraph is 91, unread. And in the next part, we'll be carrying on with the Shamutanti Hills. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.